Alrighty, welcome back gamer boys and girl. If you didn't see the last episode, you should go check it out. It's going to be linked in this video, up there maybe. But in the last episode we started cutting away the BRZ. We got rid of that transmission tunnel brace under there. A lot of spot welds, a lot of drilling, a lot of grinding, but we got it done in a day. On the plate for this week is to get this John finished up. We got in the full Sikky LS swap kit for BRZ. That kit is pretty complete, just for a stage one. You know, it doesn't include wiring or headers for now, but still deciding on what I want to do there. So that stage one kit basically includes everything you need to get this and the T56 Magnum F into this car. So there's a couple things we need to do on the engine before it's ready to go in. First, we got to tap a hole in the side of the block because the Sikky oil pan does not use a stock location dipstick. So we got to tap and bung that hole so oil doesn't come flying out. Then we got to put on the oil pan, which means we can finally tighten up the front and rear covers. And then this engine is going to be sealed and ready to go. That's probably it on the list for today. You know, if I sound a little tired and out of it, I went dirt biking yesterday. Racked my head pretty good. Definitely a little bit out of it, but we got some stuff to do. I gotta get it done, and we gotta get a video out for this week. So, ain't nothing to it but to do it. So, let's pitter patter, start working on this Joan. Alright, so in this box, we've got the Sikky LS oil pan. This kit's pretty comprehensive for doing an oil pan for an LS and a BRZ. So first up, OEM gasket. Always good to see that. These are the braided lines for the oil filter relocation kit. The oil filter is not going to fit in the factory LS location. We got to move it pretty much wherever we want. And this is where the goodies are. So here's the dipstick that I was talking about a little earlier. You know, we need to bung that hole up because this goes right into the oil pan. This is the oil filter adapter. Basically 2 AN lines go in here. Oil filter right there. Gonna mount that pretty much wherever we got room in there, wherever makes it easy. Oil pickup tube made by Sikky. O-ring, super important. Some miscellaneous hardware in here that we'll need. We got a little 1/8 inch NPT bung right there for the dipstick on the block. Oil filter relocation block. We'll show you how that works here in a minute. Of course, oil filter. Who knows if we'll use it. And this thing's massive, so I actually got to get some room here. And there it is, our very expensive oil pan. So if you guys have never seen anything from Sikky, I mean, their stuff is just unbelievable to look at. You know, there's a reason why this oil pan is so expensive. It's fully trapdoored and baffled inside the sump, so we shouldn't have any oil starvation issues. It's got bungs for turbo, fill, and drain. It's got an oil drain bung. The welds are just fucking awesome. It's got a 1/2 inch plate to kind of mimic the factory style cast pans. It's also got a plate right at the back there to fully block off the bell housing area. I mean, dude, just look at this thing. So nice. Get all this hardware out of here. So Sikky includes bungs for everything, for stuff you're not going to use. Since we're not running a forced induction setup, we're going to bung this one. There's another one on the other side. We got this little guy right here. And they actually include a bung as well for the for an aftermarket kind of oil temperature sensor deal. So we're going to bung that up since don't have one. That should all be able to be monitored through the Subaru's CAN bus anyway. But got some thread sealant here. It's probably a good idea to do that right now. We don't want oil coming flying out of this thing. Dude, that is a shit like empty or something. There we go. No need to go crazy with it. It's all going to spread out anyway in the threads. Same deal. That's right, we're in America. 3/16 if anybody was wondering. That'll do you. So get these things snug down here. Tight is tight. And you'll feel it. You know, when you start to get scared, it's probably a good time to stop. Get all our excess off here. Obviously drain plug. Then we got our last little bung here for the block. All right, got the pan all bunged up. Go ahead and give her a little spinaroo. This, I don't even know what you call it. So this is Sikky's oil pan, kind of a distribution block, I guess you'd call it. So it bolts right here. So this is where the factory LS kind of oil feed and drain is back from the filter housing. But since we're gonna have our cross member right here, we have to have this, which basically turns it 90 degrees right out of the pan. So let's get this John popped open. O-rings, hardware, some copper washers, always good to see. AN number 1, instructions. AN number 2. And our sweet billet block. Now, like I said, if you guys have never seen Sikky stuff before, I mean, it's just on another level. Billet's always got a special place in my heart. So let's figure out how this goes together. Should be pretty self-explanatory here. Got our 2 ANs, look like they're the exact same size. O-ring side probably goes into these because that looks like an AN, standard type AN fitting. So we'll get those in there at some point. This actually mounts right there. We got a nice little handful of hardware here. 2 O-rings, 3 copper washers, 3 Allens. One must assume. Copper washer, like so. 3 like that. Gonna actually get a little bit of assembly lube on these. You know how O-rings can be. You know, now that I think about it, it's probably a good idea to put some thread sealant on these too. I actually don't think I'm gonna RTV this because, like I said, it's O-ring. These underneath are actually chamfered, so the O-ring slides right in. Think we're gonna leave our TV off. Got the O-rings lubed up. Should just go right in there. Get one of them started. Well, the torque is 9 Newton meters. At least according to the instructions I threw across the shop. Yeah, that's what we're calling it. Tight is tight, right? Okay, now we're going to thread in our AN bungs once again with AN fittings because they're aluminum. You know, aluminum threads aren't the best things in the world, no matter who machines them. We're just going to want to lube these up, get some on the O-rings as well. Oh, dude, it works so nice with the oil. Looks to be about a 25. We're just gonna snug these down really. I mean, once again, with AN fittings, it's Tight is tight. You don't want to go too tight. It's super easy to rip threads out of these. Now we're just going to snug. And that's it. Just like that. Our oil pan is dialed. See, we got our bungs in. This one's actually for the dipstick tube, so we'll worry about that once we get this thing on the engine. But she's looking good. Got our oil filter relocation adapter on. Thing looks mint. And you know, I just expect it at this point, but everything fits great. You know, pay a premium, you get a premium, right? So now it's time to move on to the engine block. We're gonna get this old factory pan off. And yes, I know you can rotate engines on stands, but there's a bunch of shit in that factory pan, so I'm not rotating it. The only reason why I had it on there is to stop oil from leaking out, or at least try to. As you can see, whole lot of junk we don't want going in a new engine. So, on the right side of the block, right here, is our factory dipstick location. Let's get this knock sensor out of the way so you guys can see a little better. So here's our hole for the factory dipstick. Now we're gonna wanna tap that with an 1/8" MPT tap. First things first, get the tap ready. We only want it to go about a 1/2 inch deep. So we're gonna mark that on the tap itself, which you'll see here in a sec. So here's our little setup. We got the tap right here, got it taped. I went about 3/4 of an inch because, you know, obviously taps are tapered. So, or at least this one is. And then a little 10 mil, 12 point. Most taps will just take a 10 mil. So, I'm gonna get some lube in here, lube her up real nice and good. Starting to actually get some purchase now, so in, out, clear those chips out. All right, we're to the bottom of my tape line now. I'll pull this out, kind of see how deep how deep the bung goes in. We're just checking fitment here. Making sure she's looking nice. Yeah, I'd say that's good. Pretty sure it went that way. Okay, let's get this thing flipped over real quick. See how much shit comes out of it. Hopefully none. Well, it's not really a necessity. We're actually gonna hit these sealing surfaces with some Scotch-Brite real quick and get it cleaned off. Just cause in my head, it helps create a better seal. Gives the material something to grab onto. If you don't need to go nuts, just a nice little scrape. First thing we're gonna take care of is actually our old pickup right here. So let's get that O-ring out. Big John. So here's our Sikky pickup. Super nice, obviously screened. First things first, as always, lube her up. Get our O-ring on there. Get some of that lube transferred around. We already got everything cleaned up in here, so this should just go right on. Oh, dude, fits so nice. Ignore my neighbor's EV sounding like I'm dying. You're gonna get this back on. This is where you don't want to drop shit in here. Got things started. I got a trick little piece here from Melling. It's from the factory. Chevy actually only has one bolt holding this on, which I think's lame. But there's actually a second bolt down there. Chevy just doesn't use it. So that's where this comes into play. Basically bolts on like that, comes an extra bolt. Just another little bit of protection to keep that oil pressure up. Since I never tightened these in the first place, this front cover's coming off. Which means I gotta take the crank bolt off too. Place your bet in the comments how many times I've had that on and off. Winner gets a high five. Okay, I suppose you guys can see a little better now too. Sure, there's a torque spec for these that I don't know. Beep. Beep. All right, that's torqued. Just gonna do one final wipe here before we get our covers set. Since I don't have any Play-Doh, I know, shocking. I've got a little ball tape here. It's about 3/4 of an inch thick. We generally want this to be about 1/2 inch from the bottom of the pan. So we'll get the gasket on there real quick. We'll set the pan on, do a dry fit, see how much that compresses. Hopefully about 1/2 inch. Then we should be good to get the pan on. There's only one way these gaskets go on, like so. Remember, this is just a dry mock-up, so we're not gonna worry about getting these covers level at all yet. So there's our oil pan just kind of sitting on there. Damn. All right, let's get it off. See what our tape looks like. As you can see, there it is. Stuck right on the bottom of the pan. So we're gonna measure that, see what we're working with. Confirmed, right about 1/2 inch. Things ready to go. This front cover is a bit of a piece to get lined up here. Gotta get it flat with the block. Got my straight edge here. It's my old billet motor mount, but it should work all right. Feels pretty good. No rocking. Same on this side. Feels mint. I'll do the same on the back side. Back side is generally a little easier because you have the rear main kind of holding everything in. So we'll move that side up. Get that on there. Make sure it's nice and flush. One ugga, nice and flush. 2 uggas. So I'll just get the rest of them snugged down. I'm only on one, so it's not really doing much. So now we just got to get our little piece of RTV going here in the corner. This gasket already sticks up a little bit. Looks like this gasket can seal pretty well, but you never know. Better safe than sorry. Let's get our gasket on. See if I can do this without looking. Boom. There it is. We've got all our original hardware right there. Plus these 2 Sikky ones, which are Allen's. It'll probably be apparent where those go here in a second. I'm just gonna get a few started here. Make sure the gasket's in there nice and square. Pretty sure these go in the front here because it's pretty tight on the factory clearance, at least with the bolts. So first kind of fitment issue. The oil pan's actually a little bigger than the gasket came with it, which you know, it's a Chevy oil pan gasket. It's probably something to do with these not being all the way tight. Nope, we're good. You know, this is an aftermarket cover as well, so I'm not surprised the fitment's not the best. Aftermarket cover and pan. Yeah, who would have thought? Okay, let's get the rest of the hardware in there. Should be pretty easy now that the pan and the gasket are all squared up. Like I said, we started these 2 and then the front 2, so should be square that way and that way. Well, there are some under here which we're not going to be able to torque, unfortunately, but my hand wrench is pretty calibrated right now, so we should be okay. Before I do the final torque of the pan, I'm actually going to torque down the front cover and the rear cover. That way this is all fully pressed here and there's no tension on these bolts. But we'll get these torqued and we should be good to do the rest of it. 18 foot-pounds, just like everything else Chevy does. Now we're onto the pan. Do a final torque on this. Probably 18 foot-pounds, just like everything else. I think these two are different though, we'll have to look that up. Beep. This thing's dialed. Beep. Yep. I'm gonna back that out and see if it'll go back in a little straighter. Yeah, like butter now. And I'm just gonna do one quick walk around the rest of the pan, make sure everything's good. But you guys are probably already bored of that shit. Alrighty. Things looking so dialed. I should be able to flip her back over. Shouldn't fall off or anything crazy, right? You can hear all the baffles in there moving around. Oil pan's on, engine is sealed. Well, for the most part. I think I'm gonna wait on doing the front kind of accessory drives until the next video. I'm pretty fucking exhausted, so let's wrap things up, call it a day. Well, that's some progress for today. I didn't even think after riding yesterday that we were gonna get anything done today. That's a huge, huge part of the project done. You know, this oil pan is something I've been waiting on for a while. Feels good to get it on there. There's pretty much nothing stopping us from putting this engine in the car now. There is obviously some more we have to do, but just for mock-ups and stuff, this thing's gonna go right in. There are a few things I did off camera. Number one was kind of mock up the dipstick that comes with the Sikky kit. Seems to fit okay, but might need to do a little bit of bending, maybe make a bracket just to stop it from, you know, wiggling a bit. I also put on the steam vent at the front here, which, you know, it's a factory one. I don't like the way it looks. I think Cletus makes a pretty sweet billet setup there, so that'll probably find its way into my shopping cart. One other thing that sits right behind the dipstick, it's kind of weird, like I think it was a factory block heater was sitting there or something, which obviously we're not going to need, so I took that out to fit the dipstick. But now there's a big hole in the side of the block, so I need to get one of those brass kind of engine plugs that goes right there. But other than that, I mean, this engine's ready to go. You know how much work I've put into it over the past couple months. And it's definitely the biggest kind of portion of this build. You know, at least at this point, this is, you know, the most expensive part of the build. Anyway, enough of me rambling. You guys have seen enough today. There's two things we got to do in the next video. I'm going to try and do them over the week to still get a video out next week. It's probably going to be Saturday when that video comes out because I'm leaving Sunday. We're going to get the transmission mount bolted through the firewall where we clearanced in the last video. That should be fun. I mean, I got to pull the whole carpet and seats out too, so. And then on the firewall, we got to cut in that master cylinder kit from Sikky, which will recess the clutch master a little bit further back. And then once that's done, I promise this drivetrain will be going in. I say that, but I'm questioning painting the engine bay, so bear with me on that. But we'll see. I'm still thinking on that, but that's next year's problem. So yeah, stay tuned for next week. Like I said, we'll get a video out on Saturday. I'm committing to it now, so hold me to it. Anyway, that's enough rambling for me today. I'm going to go outside and watch the sunset because it's looking sweet. So, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You know, I enjoy talking to you guys in the comments. If you guys have any questions about what the hell's going on, go ahead and put them down there. I'm happy to answer them, whatever you need. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hi, Mom. Later.